Hey guys, it's Cece, and today I am here to do a book haul. So today I am here to talk about the books that I acquired in some way or another in the month of July. This is going to be my last book haul in front of these shelves, which is weird. This is going to be one of the last videos I film in Utah, period. I have a couple more to film before the end of August, but as of August 31st, I will no longer live in this apartment. I will have a video coming soon about moving, but until then, if you have any specific Q&A related stuff that you want me to talk about in a moving video, leave them in the comments below. I'm gonna try to use them as talking points as I discuss where I'm moving, why I'm moving, all that kind of stuff. But I have a stack of books that are new to me. I have a stack of books that I bought myself. I have a little stack of books that were sent to me by viewers from my Amazon wishlist, and then I have a larger stack of books that were sent to me by publishers and in subscription boxes. So with that out of the way, let's jump in and discuss the books that I got in July. So I'm going to talk about books that were sent to me by publishers first, and first up I have two arcs that I don't know a ton about. They were just sort of sent to me at random. I didn't request them, they just showed up, but they sound interesting enough that I decided to keep them around. The first is a book called Cursed. This is by illustrated by Frank Miller, written by Thomas Wheeler. This is a book, a YA book that is coming out in October of this year and is going to be full of these really beautiful full-page illustrations. And I believe this is a retelling of, like, King Arthur, basically. Except in this version, the Lady of the Lake is the one who's destined to rule. So I thought that that sounded really interesting. I'm into retellings. At some point I want to do like an updated retelling video, maybe separate books into different styles of retelling, and I think I have a few different Arthurian ones that I want to read, so I can cover them in a different video. Thought this sounded interesting, so I kept it. The other arc I have is Permanent Record. This is by Mary H.K. Choi. This is being released in September of 2019. I'm not sure exactly the date. In case you don't know who Mary H.K. Choi is, she wrote a book last year called Emergency Contact, which I wound up not reading. I was sent an arc, but after reading a bunch of reviews, basically it seemed like it was a book that I wasn't going to enjoy reading, so I wound up not reading it. But I do really want to try to read something that Mary H.K. Choi has written, so I decided to keep this one around. This book is about a college dropout and a pop star who happened to meet at like 5 a.m. in a New York City bodega. I think it sounds interesting. Like I said, I'm interested in Mary H.K. Choi's writing, and I think that this cover is beautiful. A ton of people were really excited about this one at Book Expo, and it's one of the ones I skipped over, so I'm glad that it got sent to me anyway, because after reading a little bit more about it, I'm interested in this book and everything that is going to be. I also have some finished copies, so I was sent Hot Dog Girl. This is by Jennifer Dugan. I was sent this book because I did a little Instagram promotional thing for this on National Hot Dog Day. That is the photo I took. Brian's dog Cora helped me out. Isn't she so cute? This is a queer YA contemporary that was released in April of this year that I've been really excited about. It is about a bisexual girl who is working her last summer at home at an amusement park as a hot dog. She has a crush on the guy who is playing the amusement park's prince, but he is dating the amusement park's princess, so it sounds like perfect high school antics with a bisexual lead. It just sounds like a perfect summer read, so I was really excited when Penguin offered to send me a copy of this book because it was one of my most anticipated releases. I also have a book that completely blew me away. I have An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. This is the new paperback edition. It was sent to me to promote the new paperback edition, so if you haven't read An Absolutely Remarkable Thing yet, I also haven't. There is now a paperback out in the world. This is about a girl named April who happens upon like an automaton, a robot, I'm not really sure, and the video that she is in with that robot goes viral, and so she's suddenly at the center of a lot of media attention as more and more of these things pop up globally. This is adult fiction, I think, with sort of a sci-fi element, and a ton of people really liked this. I know a lot of people, specifically booktubers, liked it because it understands YouTube particularly well, which if you're a book written by Hank Green, you better understand YouTube. But the wild thing about this, the thing that made me absolutely kind of lose it, is that the publisher just reached out the way they normally do, asked if they could send a copy of this book to me, and I agreed, assuming it would just be a regular copy. And then I was going through my books the other day as I'm getting ready to move, and I flipped through the first couple of pages, and it is a signed and personalized copy. Oh my god. I almost started crying when I opened this book. So it says, Cece, another for your stack. Thank you for your support of readers and your work highlighting diverse books and authors. So important and appreciated. Hank Green. And he drew a little hanklerfish. So I almost started crying because that means a whole ton to me. I started my YouTube experience basically by watching the Vlogbrothers. I started writing silly songs when I was in high school because of Hank Green, so it means the world to me that this book came signed and personalized, and I cannot wait to read it. I have heard nothing but incredible things. Next up, I have 2 books that were sent to me in subscription boxes. So the first one that I have is Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. This is the Owlcrate exclusive edition. It was in the June Owlcrate box. This is a YA fantasy about a girl from a library who's accused of treason, and I'm pretty sure the love interest is bisexual. A ton of people on YA book Twitter have been obsessed with this book. It's really weird because I feel like some people were excited about it, but now people are head over heels for it, and that has me even more interested in this book. The original cover of this was green, so the Owlcrate exclusive edition is purple. And along with that, because this is an Owlcrate edition, it did come signed as well. So, super excited to read this one. I think it looks cool, and I'm interested to get on the hype train with everybody else. And the final subscription box book that I have is a YA Book of the Month pick, and that is The Downstairs Girl by Stacy Lee. I've never read a book by Stacy Lee before, but I've had her historical fiction recommended to me fairly often. In case you were unaware, I know a ton of people are plugging YA Book of the Month right now. They reached out to a ton of creators, especially small creators, which is awesome. But in case you haven't heard about it yet, YA Book of the Month is an offshoot of just the regular Book of the Month. For every single month, you get the option to choose between 5 new YA released books. They come in these big, beautiful, exclusive editions. It starts at a super low fee, flat rate for 1 book, and then in little increments, you can add more of the books each month. I get sent a book every single month by YA Book of the Month. If you are interested in signing up, I have a link in the description below. It's an affiliate link. It will let them know if you click on it that I'm the one who sent you to their website, and I'd appreciate if you did that. If not, it's cool. I know that this has been pushed a ton, but if you have the availability, maybe give it a click. So this is historical fiction about a girl who works as a lady's maid, but by night she is, she has sort of a fictional identity that she uses to write a newspaper column. It's an advice column for the genteel southern lady. And then the more that this happens, the more popular that column gets, the more her identity is at risk of being exposed. I am always for reading historical fiction about people from marginalized identities. I think it's incredibly essential to sort of make sure that we're placing diverse voices into the past because they were there. They were just voices that were ignored. So this caught my eye originally because of that, but also because Stacy Lee has come so highly recommended and because this is one of my favorite book covers of 2019. If you want to see more of the Book of the Month stuff, the spine comes with the special Book of the Month logo, and then the book itself has the Book of the Month logo there, as well as on the side. I'm really excited to support YA Book of the Month. I have loved Book of the Month in general as a company for a long time, so I'm always excited to get a new YA release that I am thrilled about reading. The next 3 books I have were all sent to me by the same person on Amazon. They chose one book from my Amazon wishlist and then they tacked on a couple of other books that I had never heard of before. So the book that was on my Amazon wishlist was There by Tommy Orange. This is a book about 12 indigenous people who are all sort of coming together for a big Oakland powwow, and their stories are more connected than they possibly realize. So this is a book that's sort of in chorus with all of these different views as you are moving towards this big final point. I have been really interested in this book. It was a literary debut that made huge waves when it came out, and I am always always searching for more Indigenous voices to read because that is a community that is so underrepresented in fiction. So I really wanted to read this. That's why it was on my Amazon wish list, and Martha was so kind to send this to me. And then Martha also tacked on 2 books by Ivan Coyote, I believe. So we have Tomboy Survival Guide, which is a memoir, as well as a collection of stories called Close to Spider-Man. This is specifically marked on the back as a gender studies biography memoir. Ivan is not gender conforming. They use they, them pronouns. And so this is sort of a journey through growing up in gender nonconformity and finding the identity that fits them best today. Like, if you're watching this channel, you must know is exactly up my alley. And then Close to Spider-Man. This is a super, super tiny book, but is apparently a collection of stories about what it means to be a queer woman in the North. So there are a bunch of just short stories in here. And again, this sounds perfectly up my alley. I had never heard of either of these books. I'd never heard of this author, but I am so grateful to Martha for introducing this author to me because I think that these both sound like books I'm really, really going to enjoy, and I'm glad I get the chance to read them now. And now we are at the stack of books that I acquired myself. So I have 2 ARCs that I want to talk about that I received via ARCs for Trade. If you don't know what that means, it is basically a hashtag that's traditionally on Twitter where people share pictures of their ARCs or advanced reader copies. And because ARCs are not to sell back, they are not to make money off of, it's easy to exchange them with other people. So I was getting rid of a bunch of my ARCs, and I acquired a few different books via ARCs for Trade, where I sent an ARC to someone and they sent an ARC to me. So the first one that I have is The Afterward by E.K. Johnston. This is YA high fantasy about a knight and a pickpocket who are unlikely heroes and sort of dealing with what it is to exist after you have been a hero. But this is super queer. It's full of women. The knight and the pickpocket are both women. There's female-female romance. This is just a YA book that I've really wanted to read. I've still never read anything by E.K. Johnston. What am I doing? But in particular, I am thrilled to read about some fabulous women, some fabulous queer women in high fantasy. Speaking of queer women, I also acquired This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El-Mohtar and Max Gladstone. This book, as well as The Afterward, are both already out. The Afterward, I believe, came out back in March. This was released in July. This is adult speculative fiction, and it is beautiful. I just barely finished reading this a couple of days ago. This is about 2 agents in a time war, Red and Blue. They are on opposite sides. They are each other's greatest foes, and then one of them leaves a letter for the other, and slowly they start to fall in love while also trying to figure out how not to reveal themselves as falling for the enemy in this huge, sprawling time war. This book is deeply poetic. Like, there were so many moments that I just would reread a paragraph a few times so that I could take in all of the words. It's metaphorical, it's gorgeous, and it has some of the most heart-achingly romantic lines I've ever read in fiction. I highly encourage you to read this female-female romance. It's breathtaking, and I loved it, and I am so glad that I traded for this book and that I got the chance to read it so soon because it's brilliant. Okay, I have 3 more books, all of which I purchased with my own money. First we have Whipping Girl, a transsexual woman on sexism and the scapegoating of femininity by Julia Serano. This book is on my top 10 to read in 2019 list that I made a few months ago. This is sort of a mix between a memoir, an essay, a manifesto on trans feminism. I've been really, really interested in reading this. As I said, I've been trying to read a lot more queer nonfiction this year. I've said it in a few different videos. I'm just trying to sort of uncover more of our past and our present as well, especially learning more about trans identity because I am a cis woman. I consider myself to be someone who's always learning how to be a better ally, and this has come very highly recommended. I believe I first heard about this from Jackson Bird, he has a fantastic YouTube channel. If you've ever wanted to learn about trans stuff, definitely go watch his channel. And if you've ever wanted to know a variety of things and whether or not they will waffle in a waffle maker, Jack is your guy for that too. But after he talked about this book so highly, I really wanted to pick it up, so I grabbed it, and at the same time, I picked up Binti Home by Nnedi Okorafor. I read the first Binti novella in February and really enjoyed it. This is a fascinating novella about a girl who runs away from her home planet so that she can be the first of her people to attend this university, a galactic university, and then her ship is taken over by someone she considers an enemy, and she kind of has to think her way out of the situation. So Binti Home picks up where Binti left off. There's one more in the series, but after enjoying Binti and thinking it was super fascinating, I wanted to pick up the next one. So I grabbed it. And the final book for this haul that I'm going to talk about, the last book that I picked up, is Wilder Girls by Rory Power. Yet another queer YA book. As you can tell, I grabbed this one from Barnes & Noble because it was a Barnes & Noble YA book club edition, and I'm super, super excited to read this. If you've ever seen the movie Annihilation or read the book Annihilation, this is heavily influenced by that. It's about a future where this disease has taken over a huge swath of the earth. It's something called the Tox, which killed a ton of people, but also, like, started morphing people. It started turning people's bodies into different things. It was like really creepy and eerie shit. And then these girls are at this academy in quarantine, and then one of them goes missing. So Nnedi, who is, I believe, the main character, decides to leave quarantine to go and find her. This is supposed to be a very eerie, creepy book about queer girls. It's been in my top 5 most anticipated releases of 2019. I have been dying for this book for ages, especially since the cover was announced. Look at this cover. I'm obsessed with it. So I decided to treat myself a couple of weeks ago at Barnes & Noble, and I picked up a copy. This is definitely one that I'm going to be reading in the autumn, so probably September, October. It'll be time to read Wilder Girls. And that's it! Those are all the books that I acquired in July. What did you think of this stack of books? Were there any that you hadn't heard of? Were there any that I convinced you to maybe look into? Let me know down in the comments below. Plus, like I said, be sure to leave your questions for my eventual moving Q&A. It'll be happening soon. What was a book that you acquired in some way in July that you are either super excited to read or you already read and loved? I would love to hear about that. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye!